Welcome back, folks. We are here again after only 3 days since the last episode, thanks to Florida not closing it out against Edmonton. Thanks, Panthers. We'll talk Game 7 happening tomorrow. We'll talk Major League Baseball and my own experience happening at Chicago and Wrigley Field this weekend. What a great time. We'll do our fix of six, and we'll do two more lucky teams for Mount Rushmore and schedule analysis. Sit back, folks. Relax those seat trays. This is Box Scores and Bourbon.
Look at the box scores.
Box Scores
and Bourbon.
We check each other's box scores and scores online.
Baseball, Box Scores.
So football, baseball, basketball, soccer, hockey.
Box Scores and Bourbon.
This weekend, I had the joyous opportunity of finally being able to make it to Wrigley Field. I'm 38 years old. I've been a Cubs fan for Carry the One 33 years. And I've never once been to Wrigley. I've been to O'Hare Airport, and I was not able to trick the check attendant to let me stay overnight in order to go to a ball game so I can fly out the next day. But this time I was finally able to go. And this isn't so much about the experience of the ball game that I'm talking about. This is more about the fans that swarmed Wrigley Field outside of the stadium. As my wife and I drove around that beautiful community, Wrigleyville, with Clark, Sheffield, and Addison, as we drove around looking for parking that took us forever to find, I noticed that there were so many fans, so many families, so many young kids just walking up to the field, trying to enjoy a Friday matinee, a Saturday matinee, really just taking in the entire community experience. And so the next couple minutes, I want to direct toward the children, the fathers, and the baseball execs. To the children, you want to go to a game, demand it. Demand that they take you to the ball game. Go. I don't care. You're a child. You don't even know what money is. You don't know how money works. So you have no concept of how much it costs. But that's not your problem. Your goal is to convince your parents to take you to a ball game. And by God, they better take you to a ball game if you want to go so badly. 2, fathers or moms, take your children to these games. Take your children to these games, and not just take them to the games. Treat them to the entire experience. I don't care how much a dog costs. I don't care how much a root beer costs. I don't care how much any of this costs. Take them to the game. Buy them what they want. Buy them the food. Let them take it in. Because if you're taking them to a baseball game, it's hopefully because you're trying to perpetuate a cycle to when they're older, they want to take their kids to the ball game too. And that they're going to want to enjoy the experience no matter how much the cost. And number 3, baseball execs. This is the best segue I've ever had in these. The cost of going to a ball game is exorbitant. And most of you execs out there could give 2 craps about the team you are fielding, the product that is on the field for these parents taking their kids who have begged, cried, and screamed in order to get to the ballpark. The parents have paid more than they can afford in this economy in order to get them to the ball field. And it's up to you now to make sure that the product on the field is something that syncs up with the cost of what it means to enjoy and to watch the game. I went on last week just banging on Jed Hoyer, and I will continue to ring his bell until he gets his head out of his giant butt and starts fielding a team and building a product on that diamond that is worthy of the fans and the children in those stands, is worthy of the price they pay in order to go see it. I want one weekend where execs, I'm tired, whatever Brian Cashman does, his fake, I'm sleeping with the homeless. No, you're not. You got bodyguards. You ain't sleeping with homeless. You ain't faking anybody. It's all a big show. What I want execs to actually go out, and I want them to walk amongst the fans. I want them to see what it's like for these fans to get up early, 3 hours early, to find parking, to go grab a bite, to go walk around your Champion Square, your Gallagher Way, whatever it is, and then to walk into that stadium, to sit inside the stadium, to stand next to the walls and down the third baseline, trying to get autographs from the players. I want the execs to see this. I want the execs to do this because the execs of these baseball teams, and you know which ones you are doing a crappy job at fulfilling the promise that you have made to these parents and these children, all the fans, for the price they pay to come see you and your product on the field. Do better. Parents, take your kids to the game. Kids, kick and scream. Get your way into those gates. I had a wonderful time, Manny. That was a wonderful time at the game. It was, we got there Friday, and we're like, oh, it's a day game. Let's just go. Let's drive. Dude, we parked. There's nowhere to park. Like, you can't park anywhere. Like, you can't park because it's
No.
like you need a permit. You can't park because, well, you're just not allowed to park there. We parked, I don't know. Our hotel was an hour and a half walk away from the park, okay? An hour and a half walk, okay? I was like, babe, you want to walk there? She goes, no, that's too far. I said,
Dang.
okay. We ended up parking probably 30 minutes away from the stadium. So we ended up parking and then walking all the way, like through, like, oh, man. They say, oh, this is the worst part of Chicago. I think all of Chicago is the worst part of Chicago. But
Yeah.
it's just, you're walking down these streets. It smells like weed. It's just awful. And then you end up, but we get to the park on Friday. We try to walk around Gallagher Way, the whole, like the outside of Wrigley Field. But you need a ticket. You need a ticket, a game ticket, to get in there. I'm like, what's the point of that? If I have a game ticket, I'm in Wrigley Field. Why would I buy a game ticket to not go inside? That's so stupid. So we didn't get to do that. But Saturday we left. The game was at 1:20. We parked the car. We parked the car at 10:20. We were there 3 hours early. We parked on the side on the neighborhood. We didn't have to pay anything. We were 5-7 minute walk away from the park. It was awesome. Yeah, it was. Oh my goodness, it was. I still can't believe I was there.
Nice.
I can't believe it. It was. Yeah.
I am happy you got to enjoy that. That is awesome. That's really cool.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it is the problem with like these historical stadiums. They got built in the time where they weren't accounting for thousands and thousands of cars to need to park everywhere, so they don't have anywhere to build up the parking. And so
it's
new stadiums are in the middle of nowhere, but God, you have
Fenway
parking
and
for
Wrigley
days. So
are
it's like
they are neighborhood ballparks.
take.
So they're in the middle of neighborhoods. So you can't. What are you gonna do except like, hey, can I park at your house and have come back for hors d'oeuvres afterward? Like it's something.
Yeah, it is. It's quite. It's part of the experience. We'll call it that. Anyways,
clink.
Cheers, everyone.
Yeah. Mm-hmm.
Ooh, spicy. Well, Chicago finally got you to visit them. Well,
I know.
About time that you got to experience that. I'm still shocked that it took you 38 years to get there, but hey, I can't judge you too much. I've never been to the Cowboy Stadium, so it's just part of life. Hand in hand with the greedy ownership that wants to make everything so unaffordable, it makes it not appealing to just like take a trip out there. You just have to like plan a whole vacation around one baseball or football game.
Go ahead.
It's a little ridiculous. So when you were going on about your about the parents taking their kids to a baseball game, I was hoping that you were going to address the fact that owners are also making it almost impossible to be able to afford a full experience in the game. So
my wife
I was glad that you brought
all
that
my
up
rants
too.
This weekend. Like we were driving through Wrigleyville. I brought a smile to my face. All these kids with their jerseys, the parents walking, the grandparents. It's a family affair. It's generational. And you're walking, and she goes, "Oh, what are you thinking about?" And I'm like, "Freaking Jed Hoyer,
Yep.
not ruin it for these people, making it so expensive for them to go inside and able to feel the product that's even worth it." Oh, a bunch of garbage. Like, that was the first thing out of my mouth. She goes, "You just had a smile on your face." I
Yep.
was like, "I know. That's how quickly it went away." Yeah.
That's how easy it is to ruin my day. I wish they would do more of the like
Yeah.
$1 hot dog days or $2 beer
Yeah.
days. Just like we know you're gonna
Yeah.
take a loss on that day, but people are gonna come just for the fact that something's cheap. Like eventually it'll pay
Yeah.
off and it'll balance out.
Yeah.
You can afford to go one game without freaking
There's
making a
I think it's
200%
I
profit on
think
a
it's where
damn
the
hot
Diamondbacks
dog.
play.
But yeah,
There's an all-you-can-eat section for $52, and so you drinks, food, anything you
dang,
want.
that is actually
And then the guy went there, and he just like went balls out. And he said it cost $104. Like, it would have cost him $104 or something like that. But he paid half of that in order to get all of it. I was like, definitely doing that. Definitely doing that. Yeah.
that's not bad. That's how you have to do it. I was feeling left out when you were at the
Hell yeah,
baseball
you
game, so
did.
I myself also went to a baseball game on Saturday. I I did the
Yes.
local
Yes, you did.
single
Yes.
A
All
Montgomery
right.
biscuit.
Oh, how?
We went to the night game for them. It was the '90s game, and I'll tell you what. I think my whole family could have filled that stadium. It was a tiny, tiny stadium. With it
Yeah.
being the '90s and it being a Saturday night, I was
Yeah.
expecting,
Yeah.
somewhat of
Yeah.
a foolish stadium. No, small stadium, and it's probably filled at like 20%. But it was a good time. The game flew by. I think we
Yeah.
were in and out. We walked in at first pitch. Like as we
Yeah.
walked, it took us 30 seconds to get to the door. So that's already a first sign. We walked in first pitch at 6. Yeah,
Yeah.
first pitch was at 6, and we
Yeah.
were out of there by 8:30.
Yeah.
We were like out the door, just get the
Yeah.
job done and go. It was nice and easy, but yeah, it was a good time. Either way, it's always a good experience. Got to try some boiled peanuts for the first time in my
It's
life.
like a Alabama
That's
delicacy. Yeah.
quite the
Boiled
experience
peanuts.
on its own. It was quite the well, they can call it an Alabama
Alabama calls
something,
a
that's
lot of
for sure.
things.
I'm not
A lot of
can't
things,
say it's a big I'm a big
and they're
fan of
hardly
that.
ever the thing they call it. It's usually the opposite. And it's
Delicacy?
usually the worst of the opposite.
Yeah. I was very hurt. Yeah. I was very hurt. I paid $6 for these boiled peanuts, and it was like peeling
Mm.
uh pinto
Mm.
beans and eating pinto beans out of a shell. So not too sure I'll be
You like
doing that.
edamame?
Not
No,
doing
this
that
is
again.
worse.
Yeah,
Yeah.
so good. Exactly.
It is.
But hey, everything is about the experience, and if you're in an
Yep. Yeah.
Alabama game, you have to try the boiled peanuts
Nice.
apparently. So there we were.
Yeah.
Anyways, let's talk about the
Thanks,
reason we're
Florida.
here. Let's address the elephant in the room. Thanks, Florida.
Oh my
That's
goodness.
exactly.
You were up
How dare you
3-0.
put us
I
in this
read
position?
something at
How dare you give us
if
extra
Edmonton
hockey?
pulls this off. Let me see if I can. Hold on.
They'd be.
This
Are you
would
just going to talk
be
about the record? They'd be the
the
fifth
first.
team ever to pull it
No.
off.
So the others were in the Stanley Cup final, down 3-0. The Maple Leafs and the 42 Maple
Mm-hmm.
Leafs and the 45 Red Wings. The 42 Leafs are the only team in NHL history to come back from a 3-0 deficit and win the Stanley Cup. So how fitting would it be that another Canadian team
Right.
was a team that came from a 3-0 deficit to win the Stanley
Yes.
Cup? And Manny, I said on the pod Thursday or Wednesday,
Yeah.
I was like, I'm nothing will surprise me. Florida could close it out in 6 games. Edmonton can winning in
Nope.
7. Nothing's gonna. And it's not like Edmonton didn't even like squeak it out in Game 6. It was domination. It was a dominant performance. It
Again.
was they
Again.
the Edmonton defense.
Yep.
They like the I think it was they had the they didn't allow a Florida forward to get a shot on goal until the second period. The second period was when the first forward, the first Panther forward, was able to get a shot on goal.
Yep.
That's ridiculous. That's domination right there.
Imagine being
Oh
that
yeah.
Edmonton goalie, bored out of your
Oh,
mind.
Skinner's just sitting back there.
I
saying,
can't imagine having that
what I'm
job.
gonna do?
Probably having the. You guys want me to play out? I'm gonna push the line,
That
push the
was
lines
it
a
was the
little bit
first
forward.
game
We'll
ever we
play with
played
6
empty
men.
net
We'll
at the
play
beginning.
empty netter in the
It was
first.
nuts. I mean, my goodness. Good Lord.
Yeah,
Yeah.
it was. The dominance was insane. Here's my
Yeah.
what I was impressed about, and then we'll go over what we saw, and then we'll talk about what we're expecting to see. What I was impressed about the Edmonton Oilers was how fast they moved the entire game. They were just out skating the Panthers the entire game. They were hustling. Their first 3 scores were either on takeaways or
Yeah.
turnovers of some sort of fashion,
Mhm.
including the that one breakaway was a
Oh,
one-on-one.
yeah.
That play alone solidified the type of game that was going to be because I'm forgetting who got that goal.
Mhm.
He outskated those 2 guys that were tailing him
Yeah.
like nothing. I didn't think he was going to catch up to that puck, but damn,
Mhm.
that guy, he had some speed. That whole team had some speed. And alternatively, the Panthers
That's what
also looked
surprised me.
tired,
And
deflated,
like
and
what's insane
slow.
is and this is going to kind of
Yeah.
go along with what you were saying, but on the Florida side is that in that Ranger series, the Panthers, they attacked the zone like none other. Like it like that was the Achilles heel for New York was
Hmm.
anytime Florida got into the zone. Anytime they got into their zone, it was shot. And then now like the last game was like where was the zone play that Florida's been known for this whole time? Like Florida's good at everything. Florida's the best at
Hmm.
that. Florida's
Hmm.
the like if they are if they are in their zone, there's a good chance that there's gonna be a goal made within those 6-7 minutes, and they stay
Right.
within their half for a good while, and so but it's just that's what surprised
Hmm.
me in Game 6 was that I didn't think it would be 5-1. I didn't think it would be a just an Edmonton blowout.
Right.
And not even a blowout from score, but just it was a complete domination on Edmonton's part. Just they dominated that game, and I know home ice doesn't really mean anything, but man, they took advantage of
Yep.
playing at home. I mean, they gave the fans.
I think it's the first
Yeah.
time I've noticed it. I
Yeah,
think it's the first time they
it
made
was
a big impact
unreal.
in the games.
What's crazy is that Edmonton was, I think they were like, I don't know, tied for the worst record on November 9th of this season. And then now look at them. They forced a game 7. They forced a game 7 in the Stanley Cup
I don't
Finals.
know.
And it's just this is more about what happened to Florida. This is more like, to me, this is it, the absolute
The
collapse
collapse.
of Florida on every single aspect of their game. Offense,
Yep.
special teams, defense, across the board, the collapse has just been unreal to see. They dominated this series for the first 3 games. 3 games, they dominated Edmonton. Edmonton looked like they had no reason being there. And Florida looked like the team that really just took care of business against the Rangers, against the best
Right.
team in the NHL this season. And now Edmonton it's a complete
Mhm.
role reversal. I mean, domination for the first 3 games, domination from the last 3
Yep.
games, but by different teams. it's unreal.
Yeah. Yeah. You're 100% right. It's crazy how they flip the script. They My concern with Florida, like we mentioned before Game 6 happened, is how are they going to
No.
handle the collapse?
Mm-mm.
And it doesn't seem like they're handling the collapse in any way. This score, like, I always throw my disclaimer out there. The scores sometimes
Empty
are
netters.
deceiving, and I
Yeah.
take away the points that you are scored on
Yeah.
empty
Mhm.
netters. So ultimately, the score was 3-1. But the way it turned into 5-1.
Yeah.
If you're gonna pull your goalie, you
Yeah.
have to keep control of the puck.
Mm-hmm.
It's common sense rule, but they
Yeah.
were giving it up so easily when they were pulling their goalie, and once
Yeah.
the Oilers took the puck back, it was an easy shot, of course. But
Yeah.
the fact that they were one extra guy and they were still easily
Yeah.
losing the puck just was a concern about they're just not there. They were just not playing well. I think they were trying throughout the game. It seemed
Mm-hmm.
like they were very much trying to play a very strategic game, passing the puck. When they would get the puck into their zone, they would pass it around and have 5 guys in the zone, and
Yeah.
pretty much every guy was
Yeah.
passing it. They were like running plays, if you want to call it running plays. The time that they scored was on a turnover that the guy pulled off some
Yeah.
miraculous maneuvers to get behind the goalie to score. So the play approach,
Yeah.
the strategic approach, wasn't working for them. So I feel like they should have given up on that a while back and kind of just played
Mm-hmm.
more loose with the puck. That
Yeah.
was my concern. That what they were doing was obviously not working. They got a hint
Yeah.
that something else could work, and they didn't keep
maybe
going at it with it.
part of this might be underlying. It's just, but I'm just, it was just the offensive collapse, like the attack on the offensive end of the ice for Florida is really what just shocks me, because it's not even so much that they get less shots, right? I mean, it's not it's not a big deal. Like, even in the first part, the series when Florida
Right.
was dominating, Edmonton was out shooting Florida. Florida was just they had a much more shot efficiency. But
Hmm.
it's just it especially with Game
Hmm.
6, just the lack of opportunities they created for themselves, or better yet, the amount of opportunities Edmonton took away from Florida. Like that, I mean, that's probably the best way to put it,
Yeah.
because it's just unreal to me, this collapse. Like, we were celebrating Bobrovsky for, like, hey, look, hey, old man, bring home the cup to Sunrise, Florida. And now, like, Game 4, midway through Game 4, he gets yanked like he's the dancing frog on the WB. He's just getting pulled off stage, and and ever since then, it's just been. And what's funny too is that I think we said on last week's pod, or a few days ago, we said if Bobrovsky can hold Edmonton to 3 goals, then Florida has a chance. Bobrovsky held Edmonton to 3 goals, but Florida just didn't. They just had every opportunity stripped from them. Every opportunity taken from them by just this defensive
Yeah.
dominance from Edmonton. And I know you can sit there and say, "Oh, it's gameplay, it's execution." I think now, and you said it, this is a head game. Is Florida even going to be able to sit there and think that they could do this after they just let the series get tied 3-3? Wait, I don't know how you come back from that. I don't know how you do
Yeah,
that.
yeah. So so that leads to the perfect question. What would it take? This probably could be phrased two ways. What would it take for Florida to
Yeah.
pull it off? Because at this point, Florida has become the underdog in this entire series, which, God, who would have guessed that way? But what would it take for Florida to win it, and or what does
Florida's got to
Florida
go
need to
back
do
to
to win,
attacking the zone.
in your opinion?
They have to. They have to go back to how they were the first three games of this series, how they were the entirety of the Rangers series, of just any time they were in position to score. They their shot efficiency was it was high because they had so many shots on goal. And so I like they just I don't know how you're gonna do it. I don't know how
Yeah.
you do it. I think Bobrovsky's fine. I think because Bobrovsky only gave up those 3 goals, and the fact that Bobrovsky only gave up those 3 goals, and Florida had barely any offensive efficiency at all in Game 6, tells me I think Sergey's fine. Leave Sergey alone. But it it's it's the offensive side. If the offense, because I mean, even it seemed like special teams was working just fine for Florida too. Because again, they only gave up the 3 goals, and based on how
Mm-hmm.
the last 3 games of this series has gone, that's a really big win for Florida special teams right there. Is only allowing 3 goals to be scored. So that's really good for special teams. Your defense, it's the offensive end of the ice that needs they need to get back to their play of especially in power plays. They have, I mean, I they have one of the best power play efficiencies.
Mm-hmm.
They need to get back to that. They need to get out of their heads. And they need to be in attack mode, because one of the things I saw, and against the Rangers series, it didn't help because the defensemen they were just playing such, I mean, they so dumb decisions sometimes. But the first 3 games of the finals, I mean, they attacked, and they attacked consistently, and they need to get back to that. If Florida stands a chance at taking home the
Mm-hmm.
cup tomorrow, they need to attack their end of the ice. They need to take as many shots as you possibly can, as
Right.
many 30-footers as you can possibly get off. Just slap shot them, slap, the whole time. Every time you're on your half of the ice, slap. I mean, just shoot it in, because I mean, and I think that's going to give them, you know, you know, it's almost like they're like the Carmelo Anthony or the Allen Iverson of shooting. They just take 60 shots a game. Hey, but I got 40 points. Yeah, but you shot 60, 70 times. I mean, I hope you got 40. So they just need to they shoot, keep shooting. One of them's going to fall in. It'll drop in. It will. And so
Mm-hmm.
for me, that's what needs to happen. What about you for Edmonton? What does Edmonton need to do in order to take home the cup?
So for Edmonton, I think they're doing everything that they need to do to win.
Mm-hmm.
The thing is not in the gameplay, the thing is in the mental state. It's happened in every league that has 7 games. Well, I guess the NBA is the only other one that has 7 games, and baseball.
Mm-hmm.
But whenever a team comes back, it
Yeah.
like gets to their brain that they did it when they force a game
Yeah.
7, and then they collapse in game 7 because they're not in the right state of mind. So for me, Edmonton needs to stay focused on the fact that they're not there yet, and they need to keep their foot on the pedal, keep the right state of mind, and keep the foot on the pedal, and keep doing what they're doing, not veer from
Yeah.
what has been working from them, because everything they've been doing has been working to perfection for them. Their scoring, their defense, their power plays, their goalie play, like all of it has been working well. So the only thing I want to see is to make sure that their mental space is right, because I understand
Mhm.
the excitement behind forcing a game seven, but it's almost like a jinx
Yeah.
whenever I see, especially the fans, they're out there cheering when a team
Yeah.
forces a game seven, when in the fact they haven't won anything. It was concerning to me whenever I saw the Edmonton fans out in the streets
Yeah.
cheering
Yeah.
that Edmonton are forced to
Yeah.
game seven as if they had just won the cup. They haven't won anything.
No.
They put themselves in
Yeah.
the position to force a game seven. You can't be cheering about the fact that they've actually forced a game seven. Keep your mind straight. Keep your mind straight. Keep doing what you're doing. And
Mhm.
like this goes
Yeah.
to the fans. This goes to the team. Like you're there. You have done nothing, and nothing that you've done has
Yeah.
matters if you don't keep your mind straight for this game. One of the things that always comes to my mind whenever I see situations like this is
Mhm.
um, when Kobe was, I think he was up 2-0 or 3-0 in one of his series in the finals once, and they asked him
Yeah.
how he felt, and he was just like, "It's whatever. Job's not done.
Yeah.
I haven't won anything. We
Mhm.
haven't won anything. Job's not done." And
Yeah.
that always resonates with me whenever I see this
Yeah.
type of occurrence. When I'm like, "What are you celebrating? You're
Yeah.
celebrating that you had to dig
Yeah.
yourself out of a hole. Good fucking job. That's not a celebration. That's just like what
Yeah.
more like shame on you for
Mhm.
having to dig yourself out of the hole. So keep your mind straight and keep the goal in mind." So that's what I hope not Florida, Edmonton has whenever
Yeah.
Game Seven kicks off. That they're in the right place of mind, and that their
Yeah.
gameplay shows that they're in the right place of mind with their aggressiveness, by their takeaways, by their speed on the ice, all that stuff that they've been doing. I want to continue to see it, and not them being
Yeah. Yeah.
lackadaisical because they're in Game Seven
Forcing
and, oh,
game
we did it, we
seven
forced the Game Seven.
is not a necessity. It's not an accomplishment. You had to because you messed up the first three games. Yeah. So yeah.
No, yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Game Seven wasn't the goal. You weren't the job. The goal wasn't to force a Game Seven. The goal is to win the Stanley Cup.
Yeah.
So focus on what your goal is going to be. Your goal is to
Yeah.
freaking be a champion, not one game away
If
from a
forcing
champion.
game
Because if you
sevens
lose,
was the
nobody's
goal,
going to
then
care that you
Boston's been
came
the
back from
best.
3-0.
So yeah.
Why you got to always take jabs at Boston?
We're the best at game sevens. We're the best at forcing them.
Yep, exactly.
Yeah.
Yep. But that's a perfect. You bring up the
Mhm.
perfect example, because we did see it with
Yeah.
Boston whenever
Yeah.
they forced a game seven with Miami
Yeah.
last year, 2 years ago. They're
Mhm.
hyped up, and then they showed up.
Yeah.
They showed up to game seven and laid an
Yep.
egg, because all
Yeah.
their confidence was to force game seven. So yeah, it's always my concern, especially from a
Yeah.
down 3-0. That's like next level. That's why it doesn't happen. It doesn't happen. It's hard to win 4 games in a
Mhm.
row. Ask the Panthers; they couldn't
Yeah.
do it. So you have to
Yeah. Well,
keep your brain
even
straight
and
to
just
make
a
sure that
good
you can
segue,
actually do what your
go
job
into
is.
baseball. As a Cubs fan, the Cubs were down that World Series 3-1, and Jason Kipnis is infamous for saying that after
Yep.
Game 4, he's like, "Hey, well, take it to Cleveland. It's the last game. We got this. We're going to wrap it up, and the rest is history." So, you can have all the lead you want. I mean, the Red Sox were down 3-0 in the ALCS to the Yankees, and then Dave Roberts steals second base, and that's it. That's it. I mean, the
Yeah.
rest is history. Dave Roberts is losing World Series with the Dodgers now. So yeah. So I
Yep.
just
Yeah. So yeah, it's not
yeah,
uncommon. Like it's not a story that we haven't seen before. But the
yeah.
story that we
Mhm.
remember are the ones where the teams actually pulled it off, like the Red Sox. Unfortunately, it's the ones that we
um
remember.
yeah, so let's get into baseball. Uh your Yankees, well, let's do an update on the Mookie Betts and Yamamoto. I saw Betts is out for 8 weeks. 8 weeks he is out. So
Yep.
I know, yeah,
Mm-hmm.
yeah. Yeah,
That'll put
I
him in
know. I know.
end of
We had
August,
mentioned,
starting September.
this
That's
was the rumor was brought up before Mookie and Yamamoto went out, but I don't know. I'm seeing the Dodgers making a real big play at the deadline, doing everything they can to. I mean, they could have all stars sitting on the bench during the regular season. So we don't give a flip. We're trying to win. Sit down, Bregman. Shut up. Okay. Mookie's healthy. You sit down today. I can absolutely see them going to get Verlander. I can see them getting Bregman.
hmm
I could see them calling the White Sox and getting Garrett Crochet and Luis Robert. I can see it happening. Just going out there and doing everything you can to reinforce
yeah,
that lineup, because you don't invest $1 billion, of deferred money in one off season to not win the World Series. Not to just not make the playoffs, but to not win the World Series. That you have the world's greatest player, quite literally the world's greatest
right.
player, and you're not trying to win the World Series every year. You're doing everything you can to go out there and to get the pieces necessary in order to make it happen. That has to be it. That has to be the goal. But
Yeah,
Mookie out for 2 months that is devastating.
yeah, huge. The one thing that will continue to carry them, and I'm not saying he's the only piece they have, but Shohei is he better than he was previously, or is he just back to who he was? But he's again still killing it. He just hit
Yeah.
his fifth 450-foot home run yesterday, which is more than any other
Yeah.
player has hit this year. So he's dominating it. So
Yeah.
if they're gonna struggle, at least it's not gonna be Duke because of Shohei's doing. And I
Yeah.
hate complimenting anything that the Dodgers
Yeah.
have going on for them, but it's hard
Yeah.
to hate on somebody like Shohei. But but he's killing it. So
Absolutely. Yeah.
you
We
appreciate
all
greatness no matter where
pretended
it's
to
coming
like
from.
Brady because of his greatness. They all, yeah, we all pretended. Giselle pretended to like him until she met the
Exactly.
Taekwondo coach. So yeah,
Yep. What is the person?
yeah,
There you go. On other news,
they
though,
did.
your
They
favorite
did. They
Yankees have made
traded for
some
JD
moves to
Davis,
stay
which
competitive.
honestly, that's not a bad move at all. And I gotta tell you, if you're cut by
hmm
the A's, that's a problem. If you're cut by the if that don't that I mean, don't
That's
come
not
into
doesn't look good.
my job interview with that resume. Hey, how did you do? I got cut by the A's. Ooh,
Yeah.
I don't I don't know. I don't know if you're qualified to stack the vending machines here, guy. Like you
Oh,
you
buddy.
got cut by them. They're homeless. Yeah, man. They're not even gonna have jobs.
He was about to get cut or
Yeah,
delegated, right? He was about to get sent back down
yeah. But no, honestly, like
to
his
the
bat
relegation
for the
process. Yeah,
last
that's
4 years
rough, but
has been
the
better than league average. I mean, you could do worse. And honestly, like his production almost mirrors just a little bit less than what Rizzo did for years. So if you can get JD Davis to come in and to basically do what Rizzo did
hmm
before last year, before he just fell off a cliff, that's a win. Honestly, that's not a bad move for them at all.
yeah, yeah. Yeah, the short term vision behind it doesn't look good for the Yankees. Doesn't look like the best trade because J.D. Davis has been having not the
It's
best year. I think
Oakland. You're not really
only
playing for
has five
anything.
home runs
So
this year, which is not very good for almost halfway through the year. But so I mean, it doesn't look good.
yeah,
But if you can find a little
yeah.
flicker of what he used to be or what he was doing, like yeah, that's not bad. It was
I
perfect
know.
timing considering
And that's
Giancarlo just
Giancarlo's been
went out
playing his
on the
best ball in
IL.
3 years. He is mashing the ball. He is. I mean, and I granted. I mean,
Right.
he's worth diddly squat in the field now, but I mean, at least he's filling that DH role quite admirably. He's never been a 300 hitter, but he was batting near 250. He had a 340 OBP.
Yeah.
He was, I mean, he had 18 jacks. I mean, this dude, I mean, he was for 14 jacks, but I mean, he was hitting. He was hitting. And one more thing about JD Davis is maybe he was just on the wrong coast. I mean, he was on the West Coast with the Giants and A's for this season. Before that, he was with the Mets.
Maybe.
The Mets is when he had his best career. 4 years of just absolute, just really good ball player ball. Maybe he just needs to go back to New York. Maybe that's where he belongs. But
Hmm.
losing Giancarlo is just, oh, that sucks. Yeah, it did.
Right when
It
things are
did. Well,
clicking for him. It took him a little bit to
was
get
his
going.
last 6 weeks, I
It's
think it
fine, but
was, that he's
it was
really just started
clicking.
to turn it on. Yeah, yeah, he's really
Yeah,
turned it
like
on.
his
And his
last
last two
two
weeks, especially,
last
he
two
was on
months or so.
fire. So it's been that sucks for them. It really
Hmm.
does.
The good news is the silver lining is that well, it's a hamstring injury, which is not the silver lining, so that
Yeah,
might linger a little bit. But the projection is the
yeah,
IL for 4 weeks, so that'll put him
yeah.
right into the
And that
All-Star
week's a
break
wash anyway. So you're
as
really
like
missing
his
2 weeks
last
of
week or
baseball.
whatever.
He wasn't going to be in
So
the All
it's
Star. He wasn't doing home run
yeah,
derby, and it's a
right.
good too
So
because he
it's
is just a DH.
no,
So he doesn't really need his
no.
hamstring too much because you're not expecting him to
Hmm.
hustle and bustle down the first base line. Yeah. So
And not
yeah,
stealing, he's not stealing bases either. I'll tell you that. So
yeah,
yeah, the timing couldn't have been better.
yeah,
I'd rather it happen
yeah.
now, giving him that July break and come back on the home stretch. But yeah, it's still a bummer that
Mhm.
I don't know if one thing led to the
Yeah,
JD Davis trade because I don't see how that
yeah,
would impact the other. Maybe
yeah,
a more consistent bat, perhaps. But
yeah.
the timing
I
couldn't
think
have
that
been
JD
better for
Davis was
Giancarlo to go
more
out
of
when they
Brian
made this
Cashman
trade.
looking at the market and saying, "Hey, here's a way that we can get better." We've got LeMahieu, we've got Ben Rice, we've got them swapping off first base and third base, and now we called up Peraza to do third base now, so LeMahieu can play first, and
Hmm.
JD can play DH now. But now you can have JD play third. You can put LeMahieu at first. You can put Ben Rice behind the dish. You can
Hmm.
put him uh, at DH. You can send Ben Rice back down to the minors. Um, so, but I think what they did.
Yeah.
Go ahead.
No, the
I
one
was just
thing
gonna
that
say
go ahead.
I think
No,
the
you'll go
the
finish your
the
thought because
the move they
it'll
made was
change the
they just
topic. Go
moved
ahead.
Nick Birdie to the 60-day DL. So I don't think Ben Rice is going to be going back down to the minors. I don't think so. Yeah, yeah. So
Mm-mm. I wouldn't think so. They just called him up. But what I was gonna say as an overall view, right, and that I've been noticing this week is that the Yankees have been concerning me a little bit
yeah,
because they consistently can't seem to beat good teams. They've got
I watched that game too. That
shellacked
was
by
whoo.
the
That
Orioles
was a
in the
doozy.
last year. Like,
Yeah,
yeah, yeah. And so the Orioles are going to be their
mhm,
direct competition, so they need to figure out how to at least be competitive
yeah,
in those games because I think they lost like 11 or
yeah.
4 or something ridiculous like that. It was
Yep.
not close. And then
No, yeah.
they
They
followed
won
it up with the
yesterday, but
Braves, and then that didn't look any
they
better.
but they have not been well.
They did.
Their last 10 games have not looked good. I mean, we all that talk about that stretch they did when Aaron Judge was lighting the world on fire. Now it's like ever since Aaron Judge got hit in the hand, ever since Kevin Costner called the game for the Yankees, how they said the Mets were 6-0 since Grimace throughout the first pitch. The Yankees are 0 for terrible since Kevin Costner
Hmm.
started calling baseball games. So, yeah. Now the dream in New York. Now the dream for the Yankees is that they win 2 in a row.
I'm not
That's their field of dream.
right. Apparently, I'm not gonna sit here and overreact, and I won't. We won't keep diving too much into the Yankees. I'm not gonna sit here and overreact,
Yeah,
saying they're in trouble because they're hitting a little
yeah,
bit of of a losing streak or they're sneaking a win instead of taking an L here and there. But it is concerning that they're losing
You
to good
do.
teams because you
But
have
I
to beat
mean, on
good
the
teams
flip
to be able to,
side, Baltimore
win.
hasn't been
So
any better.
yeah,
Since they shellacked the Yankees, they've lost 3 in a row. So they lost the weekend series. So so they shellacked the Yankees, and then they went on to lose 3 games in a row. So I mean, and look, and it's good. Like if your team is
yeah,
52-28, and this is after they're going through a slump, that's a good thing. Okay, that's something to rejoice over. Like, thank
right.
God we had
Yeah, it
April and
is.
May in the first half of June. Like, thank goodness for that. Yeah. So, yeah.
Give us some chance. Though the good thing is that it seems like Baltimore has their number because they consistently lose against
Yeah.
Baltimore, which is my concern. It's like they have them figured out for some reason. I think this goes back to last year, which I won't hold last year against the Yankees
Yeah.
because overall they were just an awful team last year. But overall, it just seems like the Orioles match up really well with them. Their pitching and their offense matches really well against the Yankees. So I don't know how that's going to look for the future and for whoever's going to
They're
win the
not.
division because the Orioles aren't
No.
far behind. They're not.
Well,
It's
and
not
now
like
Baltimore,
the Yankees have ran
I
away with
think
the league.
Baltimore
So
has,
if they can't
I
figure out
think
the Orioles and
they're
the Orioles have figured them out,
5-2 against the Yankees now in this series, and they have 3 games left. So Baltimore wins one more game, then they win the season series. So
yeah,
that doesn't bode well for New York. And what
hmm
doesn't also bode well for either Baltimore or New York is that Boston has
right,
been playing fire baseball. They have, they have been, they've been killing it. So they're 8-2 in their last 10. Their last loss was 3 days ago, but
they are.
they're still 9 games out of first. They're 7.5 out of second place. But even in the wild card, they are. Yeah, they hold a half game lead on Kansas City, who is just falling off a cliff. My goodness, the Royals have fallen off a cliff.
Yeah,
Oh, it's been awful to watch. Oh, it breaks my heart. It breaks my heart. Yeah,
3-7 in the
but
last
yeah.
10. Jesus,
Um. So yeah, we can
that's
see.
rough.
There's so many ways that this can go. But I want to talk about just complete incompetence. Mhm.
Wait, let me guess. Let me guess before you go there. Does
No,
this have to do with the
that's not
Rockies game?
incompetence. That's
Is that
another
the
beef I have.
Okay,
That's another
we'll
beef
talk
I
about
have.
that after. We'll talk about that after. Yes, we'll talk
How
about
on
that one
earth
after. Okay, go ahead.
are you down by 1 run with 1 out and you lose track of how many outs there are in the 9th inning? Paul DeYoung, I'm sick and tired of hearing your teammates and your manager defend you. This is why. What is their record right now? I can't even go that low. 21-58. You are 21-58, and you're going to defend the man who forgot how many outs there were? This is unacceptable. I get people make boneheaded mistakes, but when you're 21-58, there's a reason you're 21-58. Like, oh my goodness. Oh my.
Mm,
Oh my. That is uncalled for. Pedro Griffel should be fired just for sticking up for his player. We give crap to Ron Washington for
Yep.
running over his players with the bus, putting the bus in reverse, running over them in reverse, and then putting it in drive and then driving away over them again. We get on the Ron Washington for doing that, but we give Pedro Griffel, the Griffeldor, whatever his name is, we give Griffeldor the pass because his team, they can't even beat the Bad News Bears, and we're going to allow them to sit there and say, oh, he works hard. On what? What does he work hard on? There's no work ethic for you to look, oh, There's one out. Okay. Oh, is that a fly ball? Oh, okay. I think I'll take off for third now. Like, what? No. You don't. What are we doing? What are we doing?
That man
Holy
was
hell.
almost at home by the time he realized that he caught the ball and he had to
Oh,
just
my
trot his.
goodness. And then just defending
It
him.
was
I'm
bad. That
like,
was really
wow.
bad.
This this team. This team is just, oh, my goodness. Oh.
Yeah, for good reason. I didn't. I wasn't watching that game. Who would? Who would be watching that game? But I watched. It came across my feed watching the highlights, and when I saw what happened, I just laughed and said,
I
"Yeah,
put on
typical," and I kept scrolling. I just
at
fucking, yep,
Thursday, I
that
was
makes
watching the
sense.
White Sox
The White
game at
Sox are gonna
Padres.
White Sox.
I was watching baseball and I put the White Sox Astros on. I was like, I haven't seen these two terrible teams this year. Let me watch them play. And the White Sox are up 3-1, and just like that, down 5-3. Like it were, I mean, it just like a blink of an eye, error after error. I'm like, what? What are you? It's I don't even know what you guys do. You guys even have practice? Like, are you what are you doing
Yeah,
before the
it's
game,
concerning.
on the off day, on the travel day? I mean, what is this? What on God's green earth is happening in this ballpark? I I wow. Wow. That
Yep. Yeah. There's on a bad team. On a bad team, it's like I don't even know how to describe it, but when your team is bad, the one person that you should be able to look to is your manager to say, okay, he's doing the right things.
yeah,
When your team is bad and your players are pulling that crap, you have to look right
yeah,
back at the manager and saying, okay, you have no control of your locker room whatsoever. They're not bought into
yeah,
whatever they're doing. They don't even care what the hell's going on at the field at that point. So, like, you have to point the finger at the GM and say, what the F is going on with my team right now? If I'm the owner, he would have been,
yeah.
based off of that play and then the response, he would have been gone the next day because there's no
Yep.
excuse for that. That is fundamental baseball. I've never played baseball professionally, high school, little league, nothing. I know to freaking keep
I
tabs on
teach
the
my
outs
8-year-olds to
at
do the
every
same
point
thing.
in the game just to know what the hell's going
After
on.
every out in the
It's
field,
not a hard
how
concept.
many outs? And I teach them
Yeah.
to throw up the fingers, two, and say it out loud. Like there's always an awareness of how this is baseball one, not baseball 101. This is baseball one. This is just one.
Yeah.
How many?
No, it's one.
That's it.
Yeah. When Yep. When Here's the thing. Whenever somebody comes to you and they say, "How do you play baseball?" You tell them, "Well, a team has three outs to score as many runs as they can in an inning." That is like the first sentence in describing a freaking baseball. How are you going to lose tabs
Oh
on
man.
the most fundamental key of the
And
freaking game?
I get guys
It's
make
mind
mistakes. I
blowing to
get you
me.
get
It's
lost in the game,
embarrassing.
whatever.
Honestly,
But when
it's
you're 21
embarrassing.
and 58, I mean, what are you doing other than working on the mistakes? You're doing nothing but making mistakes. You should be those mistakes should be in the forefront of your head the
Right.
entire time. Like
Yeah.
it's bad enough to do it, but to do it when you're 21 and 57, and then you
Yeah.
do it to lose a game to have 58 losses. That's so bad. That is inexcusable.
Yeah. And to think that this man is making millions of dollars to not care what the hell's going on in the field at this point.
No, you could
You
pay
could pay
me
me
to
to
be the
put in more
manager
effort
to
than
throw him
that.
under the bus. Yeah, I saw it. I
It
saw his
just
dumbass. Yeah, I saw that. Yeah, yeah.
I'll address it.
I'll tell you
I
the
will
same thing
address
I
it with
told
him. He's
him.
a fucking
The hell's
idiot.
your problem? So yeah, but no, but the
Yep,
end of that Rockies game,
exactly.
this is
Freaking
when I hate these new rules. I hate it so much. Like
yeah.
these guys are busting their balls. This is worse than having the field goal kicker decide the game. Okay, like to have a pitch clock violation walk a runner in, and the game is over. If this shit happens in the World Series, I'm losing it.
Yeah.
No. After the 7th inning, no more pitch clock violations. Or 9th inning and beyond, no more pitch clock violations. No more. Like this has to stop. Like, and I know it's been a year and a half. It's the first time it's ever happened. I get it, but it rings so loudly to me that a game can end because a guy would just took like a second extra longer. No, I get it. We've been doing this for a year and a half. Look, you got 18 seconds now. You know,
Yeah.
we're almost midway through the season. Kyle Finnegan should know how long it takes to warm up and to throw the pitch. Okay, I get it. All right. Bases are loaded with one out, though. It's high pressure. All right. So to sit there and say, hey, you got 18 seconds. Your dumbass loaded the bases. Okay. You got 18 seconds. All right. You got one out. You got to figure it out quick. Like that is just, oh man. Every sport is so offensively minded now. It's sickening. It sickens me. Oh man. I have coached defensive baseball for a while. And it's sick. And I tell my players, they're 7 years old, by the way. I tell them, said, look, you need to cheat to the first base line. Get ahead of first base. Why, coach? Because the offense has all the advantage. You need to take where you can. Okay? You need to do what you can. But all these games are so offensively minded. It's sickening now. It's just sickening. So it's, oh man.
It was a heartbreaker. I wish there was a caveat to like a game cannot end on a pitch clock violation. Like that's not a hard. I think a lot of us could get behind that as an overall. Like, okay, what do you have to do? Take one of the strikes away, like something. Sure, that could be a punishment, but to end a game on that, I feel like most of everybody on the field couldn't even realize what the hell had just happened because they didn't realize.
The worst part too is that the Nationals are playing.
They didn't realize what was happening.
They're a half a game out of the final wild card right now. And if we get to the end of the season and they get out because of one game, that would piss me off. That would tick me off so bad. Because I know it doesn't come down to just one game, but knowing that happened in June and that right there, oh man. Oh. If it was just a battle of two last place teams, I wouldn't care. But my heart
was rough to watch.
The Nationals, they are trying. They're trying right now. Oh man, just like I thought they would. I thought they'd be a surprise team.
Yeah.
And look, they're a half game out of the final wild card right now. Oh, that sucks.
You're getting there. Yeah, that's a bummer. It's a bummer. I mean, you can say, okay, well, too bad, so sad. You should know better. It's been a year and a half, but just having the fact that it ended the game in that fashion is just a heartbreaker. And the Rockies know. The Rockies probably would have won that game anyways. There was one out, bases loaded, sure, but the Rockies know.
But still, to have, let that be the reason.
Yeah.
Let fate take its course, not some stupid timing rule. Oh,
right. Let me tell you, if I was the umpire behind that home plate, and that was like the situation I was in, I would have had a hard time calling that. I didn't see it. Sorry, my bad.
I've been making shitty calls all night. I'm sorry.
I'll keep tabs of it next time.
It's just all my Anyway,
and it was close too. Football, it was like a second late. It was that was a bummer. And then you know what pissed me off? Like the final cherry on top, the freaking Denver started cheering like they had actually just done something. They like stormed the field. I would be the sickening to my stomach. Like, oh god, we just won the game like that. No, they cheered like they had just done something. They didn't do squat.
we're still not.
They got a lucky break, and they acted like they just won the World Series over that. It was ridiculous.
That's their claim.
Yeah.
let's shift over to football.
Yep.
Let's spin this infamous wheel, and let's pick our teams.
Heck yes. It is time. Your favorite time. Mount Rushmore player picks. Here we
Spin
go.
for
For
you.
the am I
Let's spin for you.
spinning for you or for me first? Okay. Let's spin the wheel. Let me pull it up. All right.
Your number is number
JB,
5, and
my
your
number
team
is number 5.
are the Bears. The Bears. The Bears.
The Bears.
You
Ooh.
got decades
This
of
is a
players
good
to
one.
choose from.
This is a good one. This is a good one. I have to really reset my brain because I always
Great
sit here and say
caller.
that my brain goes to
Keenan
recency
Allen.
bias, but there is no recency favoritism.
Cole Kmet. Caleb Williams.
Who's that guy that they drafted first overall? He was probably on my Mount Rushmore. Put him on there. Caleb Williams could be on my Mount Rushmore right away. I already know he's going to kill it. No.
Matt Eberflus. There we go. Nailed it.
There you go.
Who you got?
Yep. Perfect Mount Rushmore. So we got to take it back to the olden days.
Mhm.
So there's 3 names that come to mind right away.
Yes. That's a good one.
Dick Butkus would have to be one of the great. Everybody, I feel like everybody always replicates their linebacker game based off of what he was doing. He was the epitome of a great linebacker. So I would say he's number 1.
Yes.
Walter Payton has to be number 2. That's not. Maybe he's number 1. As there's no. The order doesn't matter in this, so I'm not saying Walter Payton is less, but Walter Payton for sure has to be up there. He's arguably the greatest, if not one of the greatest running backs in history. The next one has to be a coach in Coach Ditka. I feel like he has to be up there. His mustache still to this day is like the go-to outfit whenever Chicago Bears fans are going to a game. Mike Ditka is just that helps. That helps. And then here is where I'm a little torn.
Okay.
I have 2 in mind.
Ooh. Okay.
I have Brian Urlacher as one of them.
Oh, those are good.
And Devin Hester as the other one. So I'm torn. I have to choose one or the other. I want to lean more towards Devin Hester. I don't know if there's a wrong answer if it's between those two. But if dominating in special teams,
I mean, you talked about
is not easy to do.
You talked about the linebackers modeling the game at the Buckeyes. Returners model their game after Hester. I mean, he changed the game. He changed the team's game forever.
Yeah. Well, yeah, he reset he reset every record that you could as a special teams player. So for that reason alone, because of how hard it is to dominate and stand out as a Hall of Famer, as a special teams guy, I would have to go with Devin Hester. So those are my 4.
Complaints. I mean, the Bears they're historical.
Complaints.
I mean, there's loads. I mean, there's lists and there's variations of lists that you can go to about trying to figure out who it is. You could have did George Halas. You could have did Gale Sayers. You probably could have did Sid Luckman too. He was the old quarterback for them. But I mean, it's hard. It's hard. You could have made a case for William Perry. You could have made a case for Jim McMahon. Um, so I-
But
yeah,
with
yeah,
any of those players, you'd have
yeah,
to take one of the ones that
yeah.
I chose off. And
So, but I mean,
who would I have taken
I
off?
mean,
That's the
Bears
hard
fans will
thing.
probably complain because, well, they have nothing else to do. I mean, they can't cheer for anything because nothing good's happening.
Yeah,
So,
cry me a new river, Bears fans.
yeah,
I didn't take away anything from Bears fans. If anything,
yeah,
they're just gonna
no,
look for something to
no.
cry about. There's
What's cool
nothing wrong with
about
that list. I don't feel like there's anything
Brian
wrong with that.
Urlacher, who you didn't choose, was my one of my high school football coaches coached him in high school, and then when and then now moving to New Mexico and him being a UNM alum.
Nice.
So that's that. I mean, it's kind of cool to have that tied to him twice. So
Yep.
that yeah.
Yeah, that is really cool. And it's hard because he's like one of like the only homegrown heroes that we have in New Mexico. It's hard not
Yeah,
to choose him. But I
yeah.
said what I
Some
said for
diversity
why I
too.
chose Devin
So
Hester,
yeah,
so I'm living
yeah.
by it.
So
Can't
all right,
really.
I'm ready, buddy.
Yeah. All right. You ready? Ready? Let's spin it for you.
Hmm. 14.
JB, give me your number. You, my friend, get
Oh,
the Minnesota
okay.
Skull Vikings. The Skulling Vikings.
Okay, I can do this. Okay. Uh, number one, to give
Okay.
homage to
I
the
believe
Purple
in you.
People Eaters of the 60s and 70s. Uh, I will name
Okay.
Alan Page as the representative of the Purple People Eaters. Uh, Freaking decorated. Whoa.
Wait, my argument for that. We always said we can put. Well, actually, no, never
We
mind. I was
did,
gonna say we
yeah.
can choose
We
a group
did,
of people,
yeah.
but no, because we
So
fought
I
against
will,
that for Seattle. Sorry, as you were. Go ahead.
yeah, we
I was gonna
did.
say you could put the
So
Purple People Eaters
I will
up
put
there, but
Alan
we
Page
squashed that.
as a representative, one of the most decorated defensive linemen
Okay.
in NFL history. Uh, had a, a dominant decade with in the NFL. Number
Hmm.
two, Fran Tarkenton, quarterback during for two stints. He started with the Vikings, went to the Giants, and now he ended with the Vikings. Um, his best years were at the second stint
Good for
with the
him.
Vikings. They went to the Super Bowl 3 times and lost all 3 Super Bowls to the Dolphins, to the Steelers, and then to the Raiders. Um, um, but one of
How
the
good is he
best to ever
really?
do it in purple and gold. Um, I'm going to go with Randy Moss as number 3. I will pick
Oh, okay. Yeah.
old troublemaker Randy Moss, who I honestly like out of that era of Ocho Cinco, Terrell Owens, and Randy Moss. Randy Moss did the most to revamp his image because he won that comeback player of the year with the Patriots in 07. So he bounced around quite a bit. And then
Hmm.
number 4, this will make you happy because I think it's your favorite position grouping. I'm gonna put a running back. I'm gonna put Adrian Peterson.
Lineman.
I'll put Adrian
Oh, okay.
Peterson as number 4. I'm kidding. Dalvin Cook.
Oh,
No,
nice.
it is. Hey, he rushed for 1,000 yards. He should get it. No, I'm gonna put AP. AP had some like those dominant years. I mean,
Okay.
he drafted out of Oklahoma, and I think he
Yeah.
tore his knee, and then he's just like, no problem. I'm just gonna run over everybody for 6-7 years. So I got Alan Page representing the Purple People Eaters, but also on his own merit. I got Frank Tarkenton, which arguably enough, Alan Page, Frank Tarkenton, same teams. And then I got Randy Moss and Adrian Peterson, who same teams. So those will be my 4 right there.
There you go.
There were
I
others
don't
I thought
have
about.
too many
I could have
complaints.
did Chris Carter.
um,
Chris Carter would have been a great one. I'm not putting.
yeah, maybe Brett Favre. It's consideration.
I love
Consideration,
getting.
I said.
I love getting criticism. I don't like getting shot.
Why are
I'm not.
you?
I had my time when I was getting shot. I went to a different country for that. Like I'm not. I ain't doing that here in the States. No way.
Come on. They've already forgiven him. It's okay. All right. Not a
Yeah.
bad list. I don't have any complaints about him about your picks. I think so,
Yeah.
when it comes to historical teams, you can't get it too wrong. It's easy to get it right ish. Now give me the Jacksonville Jaguars and there's a whole nother
Well, you
story,
can't pick
but
people in
yeah,
30
well,
years. What's going on?
whatever.
Let's do it.
All right. Well, we'll jump
Let's
right
do
into the
it.
schedules then, since that's over and done with.
Okay. Let me pull this.
We'll start with the Bears for me.
Those dumb dogs.
So I know for week one
Okay.
they'll host the Titans week one, so I can start off there. Um, I think it's gonna be a hard adjustment for Caleb Williams. So
So
pretty sure the Titans are gonna get that win,
Titans a
and it might not
loss.
be a
I
high
mean,
scoring
against
win,
Titans
but
a loss. Okay,
the
week
Bears will lose
2
that game.
at L. For those of you listening and watching, I paused. I didn't have to finish the question because they're playing Manny's secret favorite team, the Houston Texans. Houston Texans will not lose a game for the next 6 years. So they definitely won't lose to the Bears. So Houston's gonna win that game. So that's an L for Chicago. Let's
No.
go to week 3. At Indy.
Yes, you are correct on that. Um, I would say an L for them on that
Yeah.
one too. It's going to
Week
be a hard
4,
beginning of the season
host the
for the Bears.
Rams.
Another L. The Rams are, if they stay healthy, they're going to be a team to be afraid of,
Here we go.
at least
Here's
to
a
compete
candidate
strongly
for
for a wild
first
card,
win of
maybe
the season.
division.
They host Carolina.
Oh yeah, for sure. There's no hopes that I don't know. I'm
They
not tracking
drafted
anything that
Xavier
Carolina
Leggett.
did that's like
Okay,
impressive. They're going to
Mr.
be
Waterboy
much better
himself.
this
All
year.
right, he is my favorite player in this
Oh,
league right now. I want him. I want Xavier Leggett mic'd up for every game. That's what I want. I just want to hear that dude talk the whole time. Okay, but you got to win.
you're going to hear a lot of cursing. You're going to hear a lot of cursing as they
Okay,
continue to lose. But yeah, the Panthers will
week
lose and the Bears
6,
will win. The first win for
primetime
Caleb
game
Williams
against
and
the
the NFL.
Jaguars. Wow, they host Jacksonville.
That's a primetime game?
Yeah,
Oh,
so prime morning.
it's a London game. Yeah. Um, not much hope for
This is
both
essentially a
teams.
home game for Jacksonville.
They'll play in
I know it's
London.
just Chicago's
Jacksonville
hosting
tends
now,
to
but
play
this is a
pretty.
home game for the Jaguars.
Yeah. And- Yeah, let's be honest. They're the London Jaguars at this point. The Jaguars play well in
Okay.
London. I'll give the Jaguars the win on that one.
Wow. And they go into the
So
bye
a
week. They go
loss
into
for
the
the
bye
Bears.
week 1 and 5. All right. Week 8 at the Redskins. You're never gonna change my mind. This is
Commanders. Um, that's a hard one.
all right.
I'll give the Bears because they're coming off a bye week. I'll give
The
the Bears the
Washington
win.
football team. Week 9 at the Cardinals.
Another loss for the Bears.
All right.
Yeah. Not going to be pretty. I
Week
don't think
10,
it's going to be pretty
hosting the
for
Patriots.
year one.
The Bears win on that one?
They'll
Okay.
win. I'll give the Bears the win on that.
Okay.
Yep.
Week 11, they host Green Bay. Okay.
Green Bay wins. Bears lose.
I have to cut my stick. There's a hole in the side of here, and I couldn't get a draft. Okay. So you said it's an L for Chicago. Okay. All right. Week 12, Minnesota. They host.
Correct. Yes.
Okay. Week
A
13,
win for the Bears.
at Detroit. Okay.
A loss for the Bears.
At San Fran. Okay.
San Fran wins. The Bears will lose.
Week 15. Monday. Is that Monday night game against the Vikings? At Minnesota.
The Vikings win.
Week 16,
So-
they host Detroit.
A loss for the Bears. Yes.
Okay.
Detroit will probably sweep
Week
them.
17.
Another loss for the Bears.
They host Seattle. Bears win that game. All right.
Bears win.
And to close it out, they go to Green Bay. Are they going to play
Yes.
spoiler? They're at Lambeau.
I don't think they're gonna. I don't think they're gonna play spoiler. I think Green Bay will have their place locked in, whether it's them winning the division or the Lions winning the division. I don't think
Okay.
Green Bay will have anything to play for. So the Bears will win.
Okay. 1, 2. Let me count the W's because it's easier. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. 6 and 11 for the Bears. That's a Bears record. I
Gripes
might
with
be
me?
overdoing
I feel like that's not too crazy.
Okay. Yeah.
It might be.
Not just
For
any
year
rookie
one on a
quarterback.
rookie quarterback,
For
the league's not easy to
Mr. Head
come
Case
in and
himself.
win unless you're.
Yeah.
It's not easy to win as a rookie unless you're the
Truth.
Houston
All right,
Texans. and then you
let's
can win whenever
do
you want.
Minnesota. Hit me with it. Mm-hmm.
All right, you ready? They'll start the season at the New York
That'll
Giants.
be an L. Yeah.
The Giants are going to win that game, Okay. and then they host the Niners. Then they host the Texans. I'm not.
L.
Hey, you pick whatever you feel is right.
Yep. Yeah.
0-3 for the Vikings. Got it. They will go to Lambeau to play the Packers week 4.
I think Minnesota wins that game. I think they'll be hyped up going to Lambeau.
Oh, interesting. And then week 5, they will host the Jets.
Be a W.
Okay, and they'll go into their bye week, and then week
Ooh.
7 they host
L.
the Lions. Week 8
They
they
are at the Rams.
go to the Rams.
L. I don't have hope for the. This might be the first team I
Dang.
do sub 500.
No love for the
I don't
Vikings
have
this
much
year,
hope
huh?
for them.
Well, it's 2-5 right now, so yeah, it's not looking too good.
W.
They host the Colts.
W.
Okay. They go to Jacksonville. Okay. They go to the Titans. I know how
W.
high you are on the Titans.
Mhm. Yeah. Hey, look, maybe there's hope
Dang, little
after
win
all.
streak going for them. 5-5. They
Yeah.
go to Chicago. Nice.
Yep.
So that's the one we disagree on, right? Um,
Loss.
they host the Cardinals. Okay.
I would love for
They
them to
host the
win that
Falcons.
game. I just don't think. Well, no, they'll lose that game.
Okay. And then they host the
W.
Bears, week 15. They will go to
L.
Seattle, the Seahawks. They
Um,
host the Packers.
L.
They finish the season at
Um,
Detroit.
I don't think Dan Campbell's going to let his team take a day off. I'm going to say L for that one too. So 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 7, 10. Okay.
7-10. Not
But
not
yeah,
not
I
the
mean, if
worst.
you're starting Sam Darnold or JJ McCarthy year one,
The
so
expected
yeah. And I know,
Yeah, the
yeah,
expectation should
what
be
what
pretty
gave
low
me
for a
pause in those
transition
games
in
was
quarterback. That's
because
not
they just
too
extended
crazy.
Justin Jefferson. So, so it's not going to be,
They did.
they've already given their centerpiece the money that he deserves, that he's earned. So, I'm curious to see how that works out. I'm curious to see how JJ, because JJ is going to end up starting by week 5. Darnold's not going to last long. Um, and so, um, I'd like to see McCarthy do
No,
something.
yeah.
I know their running game is going to look different this year. I know they got Aaron Jones back there, and then who's the other cat they have? Who's the Thunder in that backfield? I can't remember who it is. Yeah,
I don't
but
know.
I mean, we'll see what they do. I
I'm
mean,
not
the
tracking who
Vikings
they
are a
have.
team I don't really know what to make of. I just don't. So I know, yeah,
No. Their coach is
yeah.
good, so maybe they'll sneak some wins because he has a good system
It's
in
not.
place. But it's not
It's not.
crazy to
Who's
think
that
they'll go
coach?
7 and
Kevin
10
O'Donnell or Kevin
or
Donald or something
7
like
and
that.
yeah.
So yeah.
Yeah. It's not.
So I mean, yeah, it's not
Yeah, Kevin
insane. But
O'Donnell.
all right.
So
Well,
it's not good.
let's wrap it up with going to our fix of 6. Let's do this. All right.
JB, take it
Guys,
away.
JB's number 3 fix of 6. The Men's College World Series Championship is headed to Game 3 tomorrow. Tennessee evened up the series 4-1 today. Um, I'm rooting for both teams. I wouldn't mind seeing Tennessee win the World Series. Tennessee's got a storied baseball history. Also wouldn't mind seeing A&M maybe try to win one. If A&M wins the College World Series, this will be the first major college championship A&M has won since 1939. So it's coming up on 100 years here, 85 years since the last
Dang.
time their college did anything worth a damn. So hopefully A&M can pull it off, but Game 3 is tomorrow. JB's number 2 fix of 6. The PGA Tour. Not so much Scheffler winning the Travelers, but more so the protesters. What is your problem? And if you're a protester, I really hope you're not listening to our podcast. But what is your problem? Why do you make it your life's effort to ruin anything and everything good in life? No one cares about your cause, and most yet, you don't even care about it because you're not doing a damn thing to actually change it except ruining other people's good time. So just stop it. Just stop. If you're going to protest something, at least do something worthwhile to try to fix it. Stop chaining yourself to a cow in the middle of a field. Stop spray painting old architecture. Stop booing Scotty Scheffler for God knows what reason. I don't understand. Just enough already. And then JB's number 3 fix of 6. Number 1, thank you. Number 1 fix of 6.
Number
I
one.
did a TikTok on this already, but La GM strikes again. And I will reiterate what I said on the TikTok after the news broke. I do not believe, and I have not believed for quite some time, that Dan Hurley was ever actually a serious contender for this job. I don't even think 6 years, 73 million was a real offer for a contract. This was all the Laker organization trying to shine a light away from LeBron, from ultimately making the call, from having his podcast buddy be the head coach. And all Dan Early, of course, is going to accept this this offer to turn down the Laker job to stay at UConn because all this does is just build up his credibility at UConn. Now he's got lifetime just status like, hey, he turned down LeBron. No, he didn't. He never got offered a real job. But good job for LeBron finding his next fall guy. I mean, the Lakers finding their next head coach. Congratulations. I wonder how long this is going to last. Now I'm just wondering how long it takes for the Lakers and LeBron to put a package together to get up in the first round to go draft Bronny. And so that is JB's fix of 6. Manny, go.
Manny's number 3 fix of 6. Oh, my music stopped playing. Let's fix that. Number 3, the major breaking trade that has happened between the OKC Thunder and the Chicago Bulls. Chicago Bulls traded away Alex Caruso in exchange for their OKC's guard, Josh Giddey. I don't know how I feel about this. We talked about this as it happened. I feel like OKC is quitting on a really good potential player. I don't know if they feel like they're gaining something major out of Caruso. I'm not too impressed with his gameplay as a whole. He just been like a mid-level player besides his year or two in LA with the Lakers. So mixed feelings. We'll see how it goes, but that's my number 3. Number 2, Aaron Rodgers deciding he's too good to participate in mandatory minicamp. Let me explain how mandatory works, Aaron Rodgers. You have to be there. There's 32 teams all participating in this, 32 starting quarterbacks, and Aaron Rodgers decides he's just too good to show up. Tell me why I'm not getting feelings that they're going to win 4 games this year because Aaron Rodgers is going to be too concerned about his freaking ganja smoking, hallucinogenic raves that he's going to be going to in New York City and not going to
I
care
honestly think he's the
about what
secret
the
vice
hell happens
president
to his
candidate
team.
for RFK. He's the actual vice presidential candidate for him.
And I know that once he comes back and he talks to the media, somehow he's gonna blame his coach Salah for saying, "I don't understand why they didn't control this. I communicated to it," or he's gonna twist it and make himself seem like the good guy. When we all know, Aaron Rodgers, you have not been committed to football for the last 3 to 4 years. And Manny's number 1 fix of 6. We're changing it up. You talk golf, I'm bringing in boxing this time around. Ryan Garcia, the infamous Ryan Garcia, has been suspended for a year and had to forfeit $1 million of earnings while also having to forfeit his win against Devin Haney over, we all guessed it, PEDs. He's complaining that it's
Yeah.
some BS call. Like, give me a break. The system
Yeah.
for drug testing, you appealed it, you still lost, you're still suspended, dude.
Yeah.
Get it together. Yeah, and understand the spotlight is big. It's a lot for somebody your age, but give me a break, dude. Be better. I expected something better out of
Yeah.
somebody that's holding on to the
Yeah.
boxing lifeline right now as a marquee face behind the sport. So that
I
is
find it so
my
funny
fix
these
of
guys
six.
that get popped because Orelvis Martinez, the top prospect for the Blue Jays, just got popped with an 80-game suspension for using PED. And his excuse was, "Oh, my girlfriend and I went
Yeah,
to a fertility clinic and they gave me some shots, and it's my fault for not reporting it to MLB." Here's my thing: if you're gonna go and you're gonna
yeah,
take PEDs and you already have like it, just have a story already. I don't need it, it's probably not even true that they went to a fertility clinic. Okay. I doubt that highly. The only sex PED I've ever heard of is Viagra. I've never heard of a baby making PED. Never heard of this. Okay. I've never heard of a steroid that helps you make babies. I but if you're gonna come up with it, I'm not saying it's not there. I've
yeah,
never heard of it. But if you're gonna come up with a story, at least like, okay, I'm taking this drug, I'm shooting up in the butt. Let me just now say, hey, I went to a fertility clinic. Here's the doctor's note. Like, I mean, they're faking birth certificates in the DR all the time anyway. You can't fake a doctor's note. Like you can fake anything you want. So I will never understand how these athletes they just can't they still can't like they cheat. They try to cheat and they're so bad at it. You have every advantage, every loophole presented to you to cheat. The league is begging you to cheat lawfully. So
yep,
like at least like I would just be smart about it. I don't understand.
yep. As the great Stephen A. Smith once said, "Stay away from the
Oh,
weed, my guy. Stay away from the weed." You know what's crazy? He's acting like I'm pretty sure multiple baseball players and multiple athletes have gone through fertility clinics to have babies. Like all of a sudden, you're the first one that has PED injected into him for the process. Give me a
yeah.
break. That
At
story's
least
gonna fall
try.
apart so fast. Yeah, it's whatever. JB, yeah, give me something
My
more
ex-wife
realistic.
actually
Say you
did
ate a
that.
fucking
She
bagel.
got
God
turned
damn.
down. This was 13 years ago of some sort, 14, whatever. We had just first got married. She got turned down from a taco joint for she popped hot on heroin. And then they're like, hey, we can't hire you taking heroin. She goes, excuse me, what? And then they're like, have you eaten anything with poppy in it? And I was like, hey, you ate those lemon cakes with poppy seed in it. And then she goes, can that happen? I was like, everyone has seen Seinfeld. We all know this is possible. So she told the manager that, and then he was like, okay, stay away from it for a week. Come test again. She tested again and she was clean. She goes, oh my goodness, I had no idea. I was like, I know you can.
Nice. Blame it on the
Yeah.
bagel every time.
I
Everybody
had that
knows.
vegan
Blame it on
cream
the
cheese.
bagels. Come on.
I am drinking, I'm
JB, what are you
returning the
drinking?
Four Roses small batch back to the pod. Uh, after this
Nice.
weekend, I had a wonderful weekend.
Okay.
I love flying on the marvel that is an airplane, but I hate flying on a marvel that is an airplane
Yeah.
with a bunch of people who act like cattle walking into the slaughter when it's time to get off. Why are we taking forever? Why is this taking so long? This is why we used to be able to drink and smoke on airplanes because it took us a while to get off. So, but I'm drinking Four Roses, and I'm smoking just one of my Connecticut broadbands, a Nica Rustica. This is the biggest gauge that they have. Just chilling,
Okay.
just having a stick. I mean, seriously, we recorded this. We were recording this an hour and a
Nice.
half after I got off the airplane.
Relaxing.
So I got off the airplane, we came home, we did the pod, thanks to the Florida Panthers.
That's right.
Manny, what are you drinking?
Yeah. I am also running it back with the goodie, oldie but goodie. I finished off my Gentleman's Jack, and it's still good. It's still gonna be a solid go-to to have in the house. So I am impressed by Gentleman's Jack. I am glad that it's not an overpriced bottle, so I'll be easily accessible wherever I'm at. So finished that off, still enjoyed it, still having a good time with it, and
All
now we'll
right.
move on to the next
Well, do
bottle.
we
After
have
that one's
one more
gone.
pod before you leave there? Do we have one more? Are we doing Thursday? Wednesday or Thursday? Okay. All right.
Yeah,
Yeah.
I have one more week
So
here.
you come back
Yep.
Saturday, right?
We'll be back. We'll be back.
Okay. So one
Yep, I'll
more
be back
while you're in your
Saturday.
little hotel room,
Back in my little
and
casita.
then we will go from there. But folks, thanks for listening.
Yep.
Thanks for chiming in. Loving more and more the comments on the TikTok. Keep them coming. Keep listening. Keep watching. Keep subscribing. Spotify, YouTube, Box Scores and Bourbon, TikTok, Instagram, BSB Sports 24. We're looking for it to be at 100 followers on YouTube and Spotify by the end of 2024. Follow us. Give us a comment. Give us a chime. Hit us up. We love talking to you. And until then, stay thirsty, folks.
Cheers, everyone.